Okay, let us settle into the swing of things, shall we? It is 2025. We have a whole year to look forward to. It's going to be a big year in music. Is it Beyonce's year at the Grammys? Is Kendrick going to have a great Super Bowl halftime show? Let's find out. A lot to get into. The group chat's in. Let's go. I'm Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this is Commotion. Okay, so yesterday we spent the show looking at some of the exciting things on the horizon for TV and film in 2025. Today we are shifting our attention to the year in the world of pop music. Pablo The Don is here. Rollie Pemberton, a.k.a. Cadence Weapon, is here. Tristan Grant, a.k.a. Wolfcastle, is here. They're all ready to share their thoughts. Also, it occurred to me, guys, I don't have a nickname, and I'm very upset about this. Tristan and Pablo and Rollie, welcome to the show. How's it going, everybody?
What's up, everyone?
Elamin the Dream.
Wow, all right. If you insist. I wasn't gonna impose on you that you give me a nickname, but since you brought it up, fine. I accept it. I'm glad that you guys are here. I think we have a lot of stuff to talk about. But let me just start with the Grammys, because the Grammys are coming up on February 2nd. The 2025 Grammy Awards. Pablo The Don, what are the big stories for you as we head closer to the Grammys?
I think the main thing is the balance. I feel like last year was super balanced. You had like Miley, Lana, Taylor, all in categories together. Olivia Rodrigo, Billie Eilish. This year it's Beyonce, Taylor, Sabrina, Billie, like everyone.
Big
the balance
names.
this year somehow improved. Charlie XCX, Chappell Roans, like it's everyone again. I think the big story is still going to be that album of the year conversation. Who takes it? Because truthfully, there's a case for everybody in that category, including Andre 3000 and Jacob Collier, whether y'all want to admit that or not. There is a case for everybody to win that award, truthfully. But I think the biggest one is this Beyonce's Revenant moment? Is she getting her Leo DiCaprio moment? Especially given what we just saw a few weeks ago. Is this her moment? Is this her, here's your award for all your hard work and merit. We should have gave this to you like 8 years ago, but like we'll give it to you now because of the entire body of work. That is the story.
Plenty of anticipation about Beyonce maybe winning Album of the Year. I don't think I've heard anybody call it her Revenant moment, which is, you're referring to the fact that when Leo DiCaprio finally won his Best Actor award, he won it for The Revenant. Widely agreed upon, not maybe his best performance, but the Academy was like, you've done enough to maybe earn this. And I think like when it comes to Beyonce, like Beyonce's Beyonce. Also, speaking of Beyonce, can we just, before we go any further here, she did kind of break the internet last week with this halftime performance during the NFL's Christmas Day game. That halftime show also streamed on Netflix. Let's just hear a little bit of that performance.
Everybody put your hands together. I'm so honored to be in Texas right now. Let's take it to the floor now. It's only right that we do Texas Hold'em for the first time in Houston, Texas on Christmas. Y'all help me sing. This ain't Texas. Ain't no Hold'em. So lay your cards down, 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 down. So park your Lexus.
Pablo, we had to do it. We had to do it because that's Beyonce performing Texas Hold'em in Texas, in her hometown of Houston, Texas. I'm going to get to your thoughts, Rollie, in just a moment. But Pablo, can I just say, like, it's not an accident that Beyonce is performing this at the Christmas Day halftime show. That is not typically a halftime show that the NFL even does. But Beyonce is maybe trying to achieve something with this performance. What do you think she's trying to achieve?
I think she's trying to achieve the double bind. Like, I think Cowboy Carter, in the way it came out, she was like, people saw her as performing, country regalia, cloaking herself in the red, white, and blue. She's got a platinum blonde wig. And I think this is the question of all of Cowboy Carter. If I do the things that you're saying is required of me to achieve these things, are you going to give it to me now? Because I'm going to be the best at it. And I think this moment was one to keep a top of mind for Grammy voters, but also to talk about her history. Black Southern Pride, that entire thing, everybody in white, was a celebration of Juneteenth, which is directly tied to Texas. So I think it was a double purpose. One, to celebrate her Black American pride, to help other Southerners from America celebrate their Black American pride, but also to tell the Grammys, it didn't work for the CMAs clearly, but to tell the Grammys, hey, I'm doing this thing that you traditionally award everybody else for doing. I'm cloaking myself in the whiteness you would like me to be cloaked in. Where's my award now? Can I have it now? Am I good enough now?
There's something about the timing, Rollie, because Cowboy Carter came out in March. It has been a minute. And if you are one of the Grammy voters and you're about to vote on what artist wins what award, maybe you need a little reminder of just like how big of a deal this album was, how big of a deal Beyonce as an artist is. Not that you need that big of a reminder because she is the most winningest artist when it comes to the Grammys. She's also the most nominated when it comes to the Grammys. Do you see, with everything that she has done here, with all the attention she has gotten, with this halftime show for a game that never really used to have a halftime show, do you think it's enough for her to win Album of the Year, Rollie?
I think if she was ever going to win Album of the Year, it would be for this album. I feel like it appeals to pop audience, country audience, R&B audience. It's probably her biggest 10 album ever, really. Yeah. And in my opinion, as a result, it's a little bit more middle of the road than the previous album she was snubbed for. But I actually also think the history of being snubbed, it actually might not work in her favor because Grammy voters are very prickly and they don't like to be told what to do. And so everyone's just like, oh, Beyonce should win this time. It might not help. Personally, I think that, and call me crazy, I think Andre 3000 could be the sleeper this year. I know it seems kind of
for the flute
out
album,
of the box. For the
Yes.
Electronic flute experimental jazz record.
Yeah.
Because some of those people who picked Steely Dan in 2000, they might still be voting. And there's people out there who they want to hear some real music or whatever, right? Yeah. So I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah,
Such
first of all,
high art.
I should not reduce the Andre 3000 album to the flute album. That is like not a fair reduction of it because he was putting himself out there and it was quite an experimental record. And also the Grammys do love this moment of returning to real musicianship, quote unquote. I'm putting a lot of quote unquote here because that descriptor often leaves out quite a few genres and it is often white coded. And so that's not lost on me as I sort of like put all these quote unquotes here. Tristan, as you think about the Grammys this year, what are you thinking about as we get closer and closer to the Grammys?
Give Beyonce the Grammy.
Yeah, what do you think about?
Well, like I don't know. I just think like you always see people getting snubbed all the time, and it's like I don't know. It's almost like I'm like you know what? Don't give it to her. Like she's better than that. Like she's better than the stupid Grammys. But I mean, I get it. Like you want to get that recognition. I think on a certain level, right? Like I know artists always have these. An interesting relationship with award shows and awards in general and that sort of recognition because it is like this super white coated like colonial sort of institution. But then it's like on the other hand, it's nice to get an award put in your hand because then it's like validation. But I don't know. I think Beyonce has had everybody loves her. We know what she means for the community and for the music history in general. And I think like she's done her piece, but. On the same coin, like it would be nice to see her get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, come on, it's like a no-brainer.
Yeah, listen, it is at this point to the Grammys' discredit that she's never won Album of the Year. Like it's like okay, well then, what does this award even mean at this point if you've still not given it to Beyonce? Rollie, last word to you. Anything else that you're looking forward to seeing at the Grammys this year?
Well, I'm very curious to see what Kendrick Lamar is going to say during his Grammy win speeches. Plural.
Plural speeches. Yes. 100%. And I'm glad that you brought up because we are now going to pivot to start talking about the NFL Super Bowl halftime show. That is coming in February. Kendrick Lamar is the headliner, obviously coming off this massive 2024 that he just had. Pablo, how big of a deal is this performance going to be for Kendrick? And let's just face it, for hip hop.
I mean, it's going to be huge. Number one, this is the second time that he's going to be on a Super Bowl stage. So this is like he went from featured to now he's headlining the entire thing. That's massive in its own right. Not many people have done that. But also, I think, obviously, you've got the backstory of the entire beef last year that will probably outline this. People are tittling their fingers trying to figure out, is he playing Not Like Us or not? Did Drake's little complaint stop
Tristan literally
the usage
doing
of
that.
the song?
Yeah.
Right. So it's going to be huge. It's a huge moment for hip hop too. I don't think anyone that's ever been this presented themselves in such an authentically black way that is very much for their community has ever had a stage like this, been able to announce it like this, and then especially be able to announce it off the back of a song that calls like a peer inappropriate word and like accuses him and his people of things. Like this is going to be a huge moment for hip hop, but it's just going to be a huge moment for people in general. But I mean, Yeah, the guy's got a Pulitzer. Like, why are we surprised that this is going to be like another moment for him? Like, I'm like, this pales in comparison to a Pulitzer, but it's America, so it's a big deal.
I gotta say, Rollie, like, one of the questions hanging over this halftime show, and I think it's a meaningful one, is Kendrick going to... We know that he's been able to use the momentum and the energy of the beef, of the song Not Like Us, which went to number one and was just one of the biggest songs of 2024, and sort of like parlay that into, you know, being the performer at the halftime show at the Super Bowl. I think it's an open question at this point as to whether he uses that halftime performance to move us beyond the beef, to sort of like do something else that establishes him in a different sort of, you know, tier of superstardom, and whether he even needs to do that at all, or is he so petty so as to say, I have now arrived at the Super Bowl halftime show, and I will use this opportunity as my fifth victory lap in this in this beef. And so, what's your read on this? Does he need to push it beyond the beef, do you think?
No, man, this song is beyond just him. This song is a cultural movement. You're seeing all these black colleges doing horn versions and big band versions of the song. It's out of his hands. He's got to play it, you know?
Yeah.
And this is this song is hotter than fish grease. Right now. So it's like, why would you not play a song? If I had the biggest song in the world for 2024 that had everybody talking, it's like, I think maybe I'll skip that for the Super Bowl. No, you're definitely playing it. He doesn't have to do anything. I feel like the idea that, you know, the beef has really helped him so much and has gotten him to a different level. I think we have a bit of recency bias going on there, because it's like, you know, he won a Pulitzer Prize. He had #1 hit songs like Humble. It's not like he's like some underground aspiring artist who finally made it. You know, he's playing the Super Bowl for a reason. They don't give it to you for one song.
But Tristan,
play it 5 times.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, like, Tristan, there is something to be said though with the fact that, like, the beef still did move Kendrick into a different tier of conversation, let's say, because I think he was like your favorite rapper's favorite rapper, but not necessarily one that you would think about in the realm of being a pop star, or at least like commanding the amount of airspace that a pop star would. Not Like Us has changed that. You know, there's something about the idea of like just putting him in a different place, in a different kind of conversation. What's your read on whether he needs to sort of marinate in the beef? Oh God, I'm so sorry for this analogy. Or I don't feel good about it. I'm sorry, I take it back. Or, you know, does he need to do something else to sort of push the conversation about him to a different place?
Is that the quote? Like Elamin says, should Kendrick marinate in the beef?
No, I take it back. I quit the show. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
No, I mean, like, I don't know. I think there's on so many levels. I love that song and I love what he did with that beef. And I just think like on every single point of like attack that Drake was trying to do, Kendrick was like, listen, you cannot win this because like, not only am I a better rapper and lyricist than you, I am like not a weirdo. Like, I'm not doing this weird stuff and like calling people. Like, I think that you should, you know, call people out if they're doing bad stuff. I think that you should be accountable for that. Yeah. And I think that if anything, it's really, I think the ball's in Drake's court. Like, how is he going to react to this? Right? Like, I think that Kendrick said what he needs to be said. And like you said, Rollie, like, you have to do this song. And I don't think he needs to make any more statements about it. I think it is what it is. And I think the reason it's so big is, one, it's super catchy, but also like, you know, to have a pop song like that and then it's a pop song and then also call the person you're beefing with, you know, a colonizer. Yeah. Like, it's the greatest. And it's not only is it just an insult, it's just like true. And it's like, oh man, like he really like, I don't know. This is like 4D chess stuff here. So I think Kendrick is just like in the perfect sweet spot. And I think Drake needs to like make a new record or something. Like, can he do anything about this? Can he address this? Like that's what, like, I'm waiting for him, man. It's been quiet.
The way that Tristan's hands are just like flying up in the air, being like, look, you don't understand. A song like, you're right, like a song like that doesn't land unless it's speaking to a larger truth in the culture. I think unless it's like sort of speaking to a larger idea that is kind of already out there about the artist that you're maybe trying to direct it to. The idea of calling Drake, you know, the line is, you're not a colleague, you're a colonizer. Rollie, you had like your hands up as Tristan was talking. Go ahead. Yeah. What do you want to add? Go ahead.
And I just want to add, you know, the Super Bowl is actually the whole point of this whole battle, because how did it start? Drake saying, I'm big as the Super Bowl. I'm big as the Super Bowl when they're saying we're the top 3 or whatever. Well, Kendrick literally is playing the Super Bowl with a song dissing you. So, I mean, how much bigger can you get than that?
Big as the what? I got to say, that Drake song was good. It's just that he unfortunately did end up go on to lose the beef. Rollie, I also got to mention the Super Bowl is in New Orleans. It's a hometown of another rap legend. It's a hometown of Drake's mentor, Lil Wayne. Wayne has said that it hurt a lot. That's a quote. Hurt a lot that he didn't get picked to do the Super Bowl in his own hometown. Just quick, what are the chances you think that Kendrick might surprise people, invite Wayne to come out during the Super Bowl? Pablo's laughing even at the possibility of this. Rollie, what do you think?
I mean, it could be possible, but the thing about the Super Bowl is you only have a certain amount of time to perform. Maybe it's like 10 minutes or something. Yeah. You may never play again. So you're going to give like a minute to Lil Wayne, your like nemesis's mentor? Probably not. I think the pettiest thing he could do would be to bring out Master P and some artists from No Limit Records, the other New Orleans rap crew that Lil Wayne isn't a part of.
I have to imagine that he entirely is going to do that, because my idea of Kendrick now is a new level, a Super Bowl level, if you will, of pettiness. Also, we are talking about New Orleans, and New Orleans is, of course, in the news right now because there was that horrific attack there yesterday on New Year's Day. The FBI is investigating that attack as an act of terrorism. You can go to CBC News to read more about the story. I have to imagine that the Super Bowl will, in some way, reflect that it is taking place in a city that just went through something so awful. We'll have to wait to see what that looks like. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This show is called Commotion. Pablo The Don is here. Rollie and Tristan Grant are with me. Listen, right now I want to go around the table. Maybe get one thing that each of you are looking forward to music-wise in 2025. Tristan, why don't you kick us off? What are you so excited for? Who's an artist are you looking forward to this year?
Well, on the indigenous sphere, I'm very interested in hearing more about the artist Tia Wood.
Yeah,
she's had a really big 2024, like on viral on TikTok, and I think she's got a really big year ahead of her.
Okay, let's listen to a little bit of Tia Wood. That's Dirt Road, Tia Woods. Listen, I gotta say, Tristan, she had that EP, Pretty Red Bird, that came out earlier this year. It has that song. It has a few other songs as well. What makes this year, you think, the year that maybe might make a difference for where Tia goes?
I think that she's sort of, being molded into this future pop star. I can feel that from her online presence, the way that her career has been moving recently, going viral on TikTok, whatever, all that. But she was signed to Sony Music Canada, which is a major label, and she's one of the first Indigenous women to be signed to a major. Mm-hmm. And I know, the conversation on Indigenous artists, how they're represented, how they're promoted is an evolving one, because it's very recent. I find Native artists just have not been seen on the main stage in the cultural zeitgeist. Mm-hmm. At least in Canada, that's changing. You hear about Snotty Nose Rez Kids or all these other artists that are kind of rising up. But even in America, it's very much still feels like 2001 over there in terms of people still thinking Native Americans don't exist. But I think that Tia Wood, she's signed to a major. I think they're going to probably give her, I'm curious to see how they market her music. I feel like since they signed her in 2024, 2025 is probably going to be an album. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so if that's released and they get the major label push, how are they going to promote that and put that out there? Because I've been told this, and I've had conversations with Indigenous artists here, all over the place. Sometimes you have that conversation where they're almost they don't know how to promote you. They're just looking at you from the cultural perspective and not from either, what you're saying or what genre you're even in. And they're like, how do I market an Indigenous artist? What does that mean? And I'm curious. I don't know what that's going to look like for her, but I think that she's got kind of all of the things that make a superstar. And I think that she has a really good shot at making a big impact.
I'm glad you brought up the point about the Res Kids and the idea like them being described as artists who are rising up in this moment. Also, like Res Kids are 6 albums into their career. Like the idea that like you are just now being seen as artists are like, that is kind of like rising up. Like that's a good example of the giant divide of like a lot of artists. Like you would not say an artist 6 albums into their career is just now beginning to have their moment. It's like no, you should already be at the peak of your career if you had the infrastructure that is like correct to support those artists. Pablo, what about you, pal? What are you looking forward to music-wise in 2025?
I'm looking forward to the hungriest rapper in the game coming out with her debut project. I'm looking forward to Doechii.
Let's go!
Simply put, 2024 was such a massive year for her, and I say she started late. I mean, Alligator Bites Don't Heal came out in September, so she went on this crazy run, appearances on late night. She's got Issa Rae doing live versions of Denial Is a River with her, like randomly in the Genius studio, and then she's sitting
the Tiny Desk concert was so good. Anyway,
Tiny Desk. She's telling us she's the hungriest she's ever been. She's on a roll. Debut album's coming out this year. There's no way this just isn't her year. If she keeps that same level of production, the same level of intricacy in her music and her raps up, and the same level of just interesting tidbits about Doechii. I've learned so much about her that I don't think people were expecting Doechii to be talking about. If she keeps that same level of interest up about her, I don't see where she doesn't have the biggest year of the year this year.
Yeah, 100%. I think the momentum going to Doechii's year is you don't get a momentum like this one, ahead of a year like this. So I'm really excited to see where that goes.
And don't let her win that Best New Artist Grammy. It's really over. It's really over.
That curse that's in. Okay, I gotta say, out of all artists, Rollie, I'm anticipating a new Lorde album maybe this year, a Chapel Roan album, a Weather Station album. We got a bunch of albums coming out that I'm really looking forward to. Lana Del Rey is maybe in May or so. What about you? What you got your eyes on, Rollie?
Well, I'm praying to the music gods that Frank Ocean puts out a record this year.
Okay, now you're crazy. Now you're talking crazy.
Stop it.
New album from Frank Ocean, and enough is enough. We need it.
Frank Ocean is hearing this conversation and going I'm going back to bed. I'm so sorry.
Album? Never heard of that.
Maybe make a song. A song. Let's see. Listen, every year I wake up and go, maybe this will be the year for a new Frank Ocean album. And it never is. And so I've abandoned that hope. So you're a brave man for putting that forward because we were all waiting for that. But let's see. Okay, before we go, I just want to take a moment to talk about one of the big tours of 2025. Take a listen to this one.
Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now you should have somehow realized what you gotta do. I don't believe that anybody...
Don't act like you don't know it. That's Wonderwall. That's Oasis. Look, I never thought the Gallagher brothers would go, you know what? You want to tour again? But here they are. They're touring again for the first time in more than 15 years. That's pretty wild to me. They're playing 2 nights at this massive new stadium, currently being built in Toronto, by the way. Pablo, listen, the sibling feud between Liam and Noel is the stuff of legends. Do you think they can keep it together long enough for us to actually see this tour this summer?
Yes, for specifically 2 dates. That's it. That's all we're getting. That's my guess. 2 dates into the tour, they will fight about something. Who knows what it will be? Probably the way a guitar is tuned. But who cares? It's Oasis. They're so legendary. I really hope everybody got tickets to go because I'm excited to go.
I'm deeply, deeply excited to go. Tristan, is the Oasis date marked in your calendar? Is that one on your radar or no?
It's not on my radar, but I will say, if you're an Oasis fan, you better make sure you go to that first show. You know what I mean? Go to that first one, okay? Go to that first one.
Pablo's they'll keep it together for 2 dates, and Tristan's I would say 1. And then the rest of the tour is absolutely being canceled immediately after that. I got to say thank you to all of you. This has been a delight. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for being here. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Of course.
See you later.
Anytime. Of course. Pablo The Don is a culture critic and part of Those Wrestling Girls podcast. They are in Springfield, Massachusetts. Tristan Grant is a musician based in Fredericton. Rollie Pemberton is a music critic and a rapper known as Cadence Weapon. He's in Hamilton. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This show is called Commotion. Hey, we're going to be back tomorrow. And tomorrow we are talking about A Complete Unknown, which is the new Bob Dylan movie. Timothée Chalamet stars as Bob Dylan. I have waited such a long time for this movie that tomorrow I might be the only person talking on the show. We'll invite guests and we'll have a lot of thoughts, but I wonder if they'll even be able to speak a single word. Anyway, that is for tomorrow. In the meantime, I'll see you tomorrow.